Look at this guy. Look at the. Hi guys. Let's look at 5 things about men's basketball this week. Hey guys, I'm Richard Martin and welcome to this week's episode of gwu-today. Now last week we looked at 5 things about the women's basketball team. So naturally, with basketball season starting this week, we're going to look at 5 things about the men's basketball team. We're going to start first, number 1, beyond the arc. Last year the 3-pointer was a huge part of the Gardner-Webb Run Bulldogs offense last year. In fact, they shot 37% from the floor as a team. Behind the arc, led the way by Don Burbage and Dylan Poston. Now those two are gone. But Quincy Rideau looks like he's going to have to pick it up as he's the leading 3-point shooter coming back. He averaged 29.4% last year. But the rest of the returners, it's 14% from behind the arc. So we'll have to see what 3-point shooting holds for the Dogs. Now while 3-point shooting was the Dogs' bread and butter last year, they struggled with number 2, free throw shooting. Dogs shot just 65.3% from the free throw line last year. That's well under the NCAA average of 70%. Now they returned Jamal Roboto, who shot 68.2% from the free throw line last year, but the rest of the stars are averaging 54.8%, but only one of those returners had under 50% from beyond the free throw line. So the Dogs look to take advantage of that and should be better at the free throw line this year. Number 3. Let's meet the freshmen. First, we have Nate Johnson of Hollywood, Florida. He played at MacArthur High School, and last year as a senior, he averaged 22.5 points per game. And as a junior, he hit just under 50% from the 3-point line. So Nate Johnson showed out the red and black scrimmage from behind the arc. So look to him this season to light up the scoreboard. Then you have Patrick Zeck from Atlanta, Georgia. He went to Marist High School. Averaged roughly 13.6 points a game, 9 rebounds per game, and almost 3 blocks a game. So he's a very powerful presence inside, and man, he's not afraid to go up for some dunks too. He's a very powerful player. Look at him to go inside a lot and just pound the paint for the Dogs. Then you have Liam O'Reilly of Austin, Texas. He is a junior from JUCO Collin County College. He averaged roughly 15 points a game, and he shot 42.5 points from 3. So, very good player, very good offensive players coming in for the Dogs. And we'll look to see them on the hardwood this year. Number 4, the unit. Tyrell Nelson is arguably the star player for Gardner-Webb, and, well, his stats do not lie. Last year, he had 6 games with at least 20 points in the Big South Conference and 12 games with at least 10 rebounds last year. He was also 3rd in the Big South in field goal percentage and rebounding. Meanwhile, Quincy Rideau led the Big South in steals last year with 67 overall, just 3 short of the all-time season record for the conference. And he averaged 2.03 steals a game, which made him in the top 30 in the nation in steals. Last year, Tim Kraft got his 50th win at Gardner-Webb in just his 3rd season. He also became the 6th coach in Big South history to win at least 15 games in each of his first 3 seasons in the league. The schedule hits a doozy. Coach Kraft loves playing a tough schedule, and this one shows. They'll start off this weekend against SMU on the road as part of the 2K Classic. Now, the Mustangs went 25-5 last year, wins over Michigan, Gonzaga, Tulsa, and Temple. And they look like they'd be a dangerous NCAA tournament team, but they could not go to the tournament. They are on suspension for NCAA sanctions, so look for the Mustangs to come out of the gate early and angry. Then they'll travel to Pittsburgh and take on the ACC foe Pittsburgh Panthers. The Oakland Zoo, that's a tough place to play, so the Dogs are going to have to be ready for that tough environment. And then we'll go to Indianapolis and play Eastern Michigan in a winnable game. And they could win that one. Eastern Michigan went just 18-15 last year, so it could be a winnable game for our Dogs. And then they'll play either Howard or host IUPUI in the tournament. Now in 2013, they beat the Jaguars 61-54 in Las Vegas as part of another tournament. Dogs would then come home and play Toccoa Falls College, and Dogs roughed the Eagles up last year, 125-79. So let's see if the Dogs can do that again. The Dogs will go play, well, the Dogs of Georgia. Georgia went 20-15 last year and missed the second round of the NIT before losing to St. Mary's. Georgia also beat Big South foes High Point and Winthrop last year. The Dogs then come back home for a quick pit stop in Bowling Springs to take on Division II foe Coker, and then they'll go to former Big South rival VMI on December 3rd. In Bowling Springs last year, the Dogs would lose to the Keydets 76-75 in an upset. Then here's a huge game at home, guys. You need to watch for this one. December 7th against Hampton. Hampton is the defending MEAC champions, and they lost to Virginia in the first round of the NCAA tournament. This is a huge game for Gardner-Webb, and it's going to have national implications, especially for later on when it gets toward postseason play. So you need to come out and support the Dogs on December 7th against Hampton. December 10th, the Dogs will also be at home again as they take on the Furman Paladins, and the Dogs have had some luck against Nico Nedved and his squad. They've won 2 straight against the Paladins since he has taken over as coach. December 16th, take on Warren Wilson, who's a Division II school from Asheville, North Carolina, and they felt the brunt of the Dogs' wrath last year. Gardner-Webb would defeat the Owls 107-62 last year. And finally, against 2 teams from the Midwest, they will travel to Nebraska, who defeated Michigan State and Tennessee last year. And the Red Bulldogs will then take on Kansas State, who beat Georgia, of all teams, and also beat Texas A&M and Oklahoma. So Kansas State is a tough place to play, and they'll come back home December 29th for their first conference game against High Point. And those are the 5 things you need to know about men's basketball. Now we've looked at that, let's look at what's going on this week in Gardner-Webb athletics. This week, volleyball is at home for the last time this year as they'll take on Winthrop on November 8th at 7 p.m. in Paul Porter Arena. Volleyball is at High Point November 11th. That one is at 7 p.m. on the campus of High Point University. Also, November 11th, we talked about this last week, women's basketball will start their season in Chicago. They take on the University of Alabama Birmingham. That game will start at 6 p.m. On November 12th, volleyball is on the road again, this time to take on Campbell. That game is set for a 2 p.m. start time. Finally, November 14th, women's basketball comes home for their first home game of the year, and they'll take on Montreat at 11 a.m. That's going to do it for this week's episode. For more of your GW student news, visit us at gwu-today.com, or your Gardner-Webb sporting news, visit us at gwsports.com. I'm Richard Martin, and thank you for watching, and let's go Dogs!